Good morning, everyone. Today, once again, I am here to give you line by line explanation of page number 18, 19, and 20 of your second lesson, Long Walk to Freedom. Let's start, students. Then, Thabo Mbeki was sworn in as Deputy President. Then, Mr. Thabo Mbeki he had taken oath as first deputy president, and when it was my turn, here my turn means the author is talking about himself. Who is the author here? Author is Nelson Mandela. He said when it was his turn, I pledge to obey, uphold the constitution and to devote myself to the well-being of the republic and its people. He said in his speech that he took an oath to obey, to follow, and uphold the Constitution and to devote himself to the well being or for the wellness of the Republic and its people. To the assembled guests and the watching world, I said, he said in his speech, today all of us do by our presence here confer glory and hope to newborn liberty. He says that we all who are present here give glory or fame and hope to the newborn liberty, to the newborn freedom. Out of the experience of out of the experience of an extraordinary human disaster that lasted too long must be born a society of which all humanity will be proud. He says that here the word extraordinary human disaster means you can say the oppression or the ill treatment done to each other by human beings on the basis of their color, skin color. So, out of this extraordinary human disaster that has lasted for a long time, must be born a society should such type of society should be born out of this human disaster of which all the human beings will be proud. We who were outlaws not so long ago have today been given the rare privilege to be host to the nations of the world on our own soil. We, here, Nelson Mandela says, we who were outlaws. Here, the word outlaws means because of this apartheid policy, the different countries, or you can say many countries, had broken diplomatic relations with South Africa. So he says, we who were outlaws not so long ago, we, or you can say the people of South Africa with whom the other countries were not happy to keep a diplomatic relationship, have today been given the rare privilege to be the host to the nations of the world on our own soil. Today we have got a rare opportunity to be the host to the nations of the world, to the different nations of the world on our own soil. We are being given an opportunity to host or to be the host, you can say, of host to the different nations of the world in South Africa. We thank all of our distinguished international guests for having come to take possession with the people of our country of what is, after all, a common victory for justice, for peace, for human dignity. He, in his speech, said that we, the people of South Africa, give thanks to all our distinguished or all our different international guests for coming and sitting and taking the position with the people of their own country for a common victory, for justice, and for human dignity. We have at last achieved our political emancipation, he said in his speech. At last, after so many years, or after efforts of many years, finally, we have achieved our political freedom, or you can say freedom from restriction. We pledge ourselves to liberate all our people from the continuing bondage of poverty, deprivation, suffering, gender, and other discrimination. He said that he says that we take an oath to give, to free all the people of South Africa from this continuing bondage of poverty, deprivation. Here, the word deprivation means of a state of not having one's rightful benefits, suffering, gender, and other discrimination. We will liberate, he says that we will liberate all our people from poverty, gender discrimination, suffering, and many more vices of this apartheid system. Never, never, and never again shall it be that this beautiful land will experience the oppression of one by another. He says, never this thing will happen in the history of South Africa again, that someone will get an ill treatment from another human being. The sun shall never set on so glorious a human achievement. The sun of this great human achievement will never set. Let freedom reign. God bless South Africa. Children, these question answers will do in after finishing of the lessons. Now, page number 19. A few moments later, we all lifted our eyes in awe as a spectacular array of South African jets, helicopters, and troop carriers roared in perfect formation over the Union buildings. Then started the display of the military forces, helicopters, and jets of South Africa. After a few moments, all the distinguished guests and the people of South Africa who were the witness of the inauguration ceremony, they all were wonderstruck to see the spectacular or magnificent display of South African jets, helicopters, and troop carriers, which had made a formation in the sky above the Union buildings. It was not only a display of pinpoint precision and military force. Here, the word pinpoint precision means perfect accuracy. It was not, Mr. Mandela says, this formation of South African jets or helicopters was not only the symbol of their pinpoint accuracy and military force, but it was a demonstration of the military's loyalty to democracy. It was the, you can say, military forces also wanted to show their loyalty towards their government, to a new government that had been freely and fairly elected. Only moments before, the highest generals of South African Defense Force and Police, their chest bedecked with ribbons and medals from days gone by, saluted me and pledged their loyalty. Now, Mr. Mandela says that not a moment before, the highest generals, the military officials of South African military officials, or the, you can say, the highest officials of police forces, those whose chests were covered with the ribbons and medals from the days gone by, they all saluted him and pledged their loyalty. And they pledged to be loyal to the newly formed government. I was not unmindful of the fact that not so many years before they would not have saluted but arrested me. He says that he was very well aware of the fact that if this would be the time of few years back, then they would not have saluted him. Instead, they would have arrested him. Finally, a chevron of Impala jets left a smoke trail of black, red, green, blue, gold of the new South African flag. Finally, a, Impala jets formed a formation in the sky and left a smoke of red, green, black, blue, and gold color, which was the new color of South African flag. They left the smoke of these colors in the sky. The day was symbolized for me by playing of our two national anthems. The day was marked by playing of two national anthems and the visions of white singing Neski Siklil Africa and the blacks singing Die Stem, the old anthem of Republic. Although that day neither group knew the lyrics of the anthem they once despised. Here the word despise means they were not fond of, they had very low opinion of that national anthem. They would soon know the words by heart. He says that I very well clear that though they were singing, but they were not aware of the lyrics of the anthem, which once they did not like. But he had a hope that soon they would learn the whole national anthem word by word. On the day of inauguration, I was overwhelmed with a sense of history. Here, the word overwhelmed means completely filled with. The day of inauguration, Mr. Mandela was completely filled with a sense of, filled with the emotions which were related to the history. In the first decade of the 20th century, a few years after the bitter Anglo Boer War and before my own birth, the white skinned peoples of South Africa patched up their differences and erected a system of racial domination against the dark skinned people of their own land. He says that in the first few decades of 20th century, a few years after the Anglo-Boer War and before his birth, white-skinned people of South Africa patched up their differences. They formed a group and erected a system of racial domination, and they came up with a system of racial domination. Here, racial domination means white people had the superiority complex over the black people. They forgot their differences and they formed a such type of people where they had a domination against the dark skinned people of their own country, of their own land. The structure they created formed the basis of one of the harshest, most inhumane societies of the world has ever known. Because of this, a such type of structure had formed, which was the basis of the harshest and the most inhuman society of the world which was ever known. Now, in the last decade of the 20th century, now it is the last decade of the 20th century, and my own eighth decade as a man. This, my own decade, eighth decade as a man means he was in the age of 80 years of his life. That system had been overturned forever when he is in the age In the 80 years of his life, this system has overturned forever. This system has completely vanished and replaced by one that recognized the rights and the freedoms of all peoples, regardless of the color of their skin. Now the new system, the new system has replaced the apartheid system, and this new system will be such type of system where all the human beings will have equal right, will have equal freedom, regardless of the color of their skin, whether they are white or black, but they all will have equality. That day had come about through the unimaginable sacrifices of thousands of my people. Here, Mr. Nelson Mandela said that they were able to see this day because of the unimaginable sacrifice of thousands of the people of their own land, people whose suffering and courage can never be counted or repaid. Such type of people, those who have those who had suffered and had the courage, out of their sacrifices they were able to achieve such freedom, and their sacrifices or what they had done for their country, that can never be repaid, that can never be returned. I felt that day, as I have on so many other days, that I was simply the sum of all those African patriots who had gone before me. Nelson Mandela said that he felt that day, as he had the same feeling earlier also, many other days also, he had the feeling that he was nothing but simply a sum of all those African patriots who had sacrificed their life, who had gone before me means who had sacrificed their life for South Africa. That long and noble line ended. Now that sacrifice had come to an end, and now began again with me. A new system of equality had begun with him. I was pained that I was not able to thank them. He had a pain deep in his heart that he did not get an opportunity to thank them for all the sacrifices they had done, and what their sacrifices had brought or had achieved. He was not able to thank them for their sacrifices. The policy of apartheid created a deep and lasting wound in my country and my people. The people of South Africa were the black skinned people of South Africa, or you can say dark skinned people of South Africa, were deeply hurt and had a long lasting wound in their heart because of this apartheid system. All of us will spend many years, if not generations, recovering from that profound hurt. It will take a lot of time, if not the generation, but many years, to recover from that deep hurt caused by the apartheid system. But the decades of oppression and brutality had another unintended effect. But hundreds of years of ill treatment and brutality or cruel treatment had another unintended effect, though it was not intentional, but it had created an effect, and that was that it produced. And because of that oppression, because of that ill treatment, because of inequality, because of cruel treatment, the soil of South Africa has produced the patriots like Oliver Tambo, Walter Sisler, Chief Lucas, the Yusuf Dados, and Bram Fishers of their tongue. That's all, children, for today, and the rest part will finish next time.